And every week, Jordan Ham joins us, knows all, tells all on the Venezia's Pizzeria Recruiting Roundup. We have another of the top. Are there any top 15 players from the 2021 class even left after the commitment you're about to tell us about? Let's just start with Quintin Somerville and take that over.
Yeah, there are a couple of guys still remaining in that top 15, but really the top 12. All of those guys have already committed. Most of them, when I talk to them, is, yeah, it was about a month or two sooner than I thought it would be, but we've just seen what Corona has done, moving up this entire recruiting timeline. And Quintin Summerville, the Saguaro defensive end, is the latest commit. He commits to Michigan, and the date that you need to know with this one is January 17th, 2019. That was the day that Sean Nua, former ASU defensive line coach, got hired by the Wolverines. That was the same day that the Wolverines offered Somerville. So there was a strong relationship there. He had recruited him heavily when he was at ASU. And then the transition to Michigan, that just continued. And then it grew from there. And Quintin said that he really got to know the coaching staff very well. And that was a big leading factor with why he chose the Wolverines.
Jordan, there was some recruiting news that I saw over the weekend, and that is U of A landing a quarterback from out of state. And Will Plummer just came there. I believe he is very talented. I think that he can make a push there for the starting spot. But the name that you're going to mention has some bloodlines to the NFL. Tell me about this quarterback coming to the U of A, and what do you see in terms of this shaking out down the road?
Yeah, Coach Sumlin is really getting some a good collection of young quarterbacks. When you think Grant Gunnell hasn't been there that long, you have Will Plummer, and then you also have now Clay Millon, who is a guy that has NFL bloodlines. And the interesting thing here is the family actually took a family vacation this past week to Tucson. They can't take visits. They can't interact in person with any of the coaches, but they haven't seen Tucson yet. So they went down there, checked it out as a family vacation. And so a bit of a business trip, I think you could also call it that. But first thing I did when I saw that commitment was happening, I wasn't all that familiar with Clay. And so I texted our good friend Brandon Huffman over at 24/7 Sports and just said, is he a dude? And he said, oh, he's a dude. He really likes him. He thinks there's a lot of room to grow. His best football is in front of him. He's a pro-style quarterback, similar to Gunnell. You know, Gunnell can run a little bit, but when he's at his best, he's standing tall in the pocket. So I think they're continuing to try to go after those quarterbacks that have the big arms, can be accurate, and try to get it to those multiple Wildcat playmakers.
The Venezia's Pizzeria Recruiting Roundup with Jordan Ham, knows all, tells all every week, the recruiting insider for sports360az.com over the last couple of years. All right, every year, partner, there are players that get recruited late. Players that they were on a team that may have been stacked. They didn't get enough reps. They didn't get the ball thrown to them. They couldn't really show their stuff. They may have been injured, grades, whatever, myriad of reasons. As you said earlier, there's already the top 12 off the board. But there's a slew of other talented players in this great state that are going to sign letters of intent in December and next February. Parents need to relax, breathe a little bit. It's going to happen, okay? But do you have three names that just jump out at you of, Brad, here's three guys that are going to sign on letter of intent day. It's going to pick up here in the next 6 months because they didn't have the spring evaluation period where coaches could look at them, size them up, and say, hey, man, this guy gained some weight. This guy's a beast. We want him on our squad. Give me three names.
Yeah, there for a couple of these guys already have some offers, but I would be interested to see alternate universe where we had a regular spring ball, a regular showcase schedule. What would have happened with those guys? And first off, it's Alani Ma'afu over at Saguaro High School, defensive lineman. We mentioned Quintin Somerville. This is the guy that plays right next to him and makes a big impact on the Saguaro defensive line. Also plays rugby. Coach Mons has said that he is a defensive lineman with the skills of a skill position guy and the quickness of a skill position guy. But the reason that I put him in this category is because of the transformation his body has had this offseason. Since the end of his junior season, he was 265. I'm now hearing he's in the ballpark of 285, 290. So he's continuing to bulk up while still being able to maintain that quick speed. Another guy that really jumps out to me is Chandler tight end Eli Swope. This is a guy that I was over at Chandler last week, and they were running their offense without a ball, no linemen. It was just the skill guys and Mikey Keene and they were just running routes. And it was so impressive to watch that first team run and what a well-oiled machine it is. And with Rick Garretson, he loves getting the tight ends involved, oftentimes multiple tight ends. And I think it's going to be a special group with Swope and Nason Coleman, who is a younger player who is also very promising as well. And the thing about Swope, he's already 6'3". He has the size. He has a 4.3 GPA. This is a guy that can get it done in the classroom. He just picked up an offer from San Diego. So I think those offers are going to start coming. Again, there's a lot of weapons that get the ball spread over to them over at Chandler High School. But what he does in the run game as a blocker, as a pass catcher, he's a guy in the classroom, a team leader, does a really good job. I will be intrigued to see the next couple of months of his recruitment. And then Miles Taylor over at Williams Field really developed into that #1 target for the Blackhawks. And he's a guy that, again, already has about 8 to 10 offers already, but I'd be intrigued to see what that would have looked like with a full offseason. I think he still will get those offers coming his way, even if we have a portion of the senior season because of how decorated he was as a junior. But if he can compile that and continue to show what he can do in the open field, I think that he would see his recruitment continue to really roll along.
Jordan Ham knows all, tells all, every week on the Venezia's Pizzeria Recruiting Roundup.